Welcome students. Today we are going to study lecture number 3, that is regarding basics of HTTP protocol. In the previous lecture we have already seen about the conceptual overview of www, and that particular lecture, at the end we left with the basic operation of www, which actually involved this basic protocol, that is hypertext transfer protocol. So now we are going to cover this HTTP protocol in our lecture number 3, that is basics of HTTP protocol. So let us begin. Now the contents which I am going to cover in this particular presentation are, first we'll see the introduction of this HTTP protocol. Then we'll just discuss about a topic including the basic features of HTTP, that what are the HTTP features. Then we'll study about the second topic, that is the basic architecture of HTTP. And then we'll see the learning outcomes and what is the future, or we can say research scope in HTTP protocol, and then we'll see the references. So let us start. First I would like to give a brief introduction about this protocol, that is HTTP protocol. What is HTTP protocol? We had already seen in the previous presentation that basically in www's operation, this protocol is highly involved, right? This protocol is highly we can say found in the basic operations of the World Wide Web. So how this protocol operates and what this protocol is all about, that we are going to see in this introduction part. Actually HTTP is an application level protocol. We all know that basically the 7 layers of the OSI are there, out of which the last 7th layer is actually application layer, where all the we can say the application related protocols are mentioned in that particular layer, and this HTTP belongs to that application layer protocol. It is basically used for the distributed, collaborative and hypermedia information. So whatever may be the information which is we can say published over the internet, that is basically done using this HTTP protocol, that is hypertext transfer protocol. Actually why it is called hypertext? Because normally the web page in which it is built upon, it's actually converted to a certain particular compatible format, so that it may be floated on the internet or the floated on the different networks, computer networks. So for that the format in which it is changed basically, or the format in which it is converted, that format is not a normal text. It's not a simple text, rather it is a hypertext. So that is why it is called as the hypertext transfer protocol. So basically normally whenever we see any particular page source, when we view a particular website's page source, then we can easily see that hypertext written, and so it is called as hypertext because that text is actually we can say made to be floated over the networks. So that is why it is called as hypertext transfer protocol, and that hypertext is actually transferred over the internet, so that is why it is called as hypertext transfer protocol, and it is an application level protocol. It's a application layer, means it belongs to application layer of the 7th layer of the OSI model, and it is basically used for the distributed, collaborative and hypermedia information transfer. Now let us see the brief evolution we can say for this HTTP protocol. This we can say it's the foundation for the data communication for the World Wide Web since 1990. That is internet. If we talk about the evolution process of HTTP, then there is no such process present for this particular protocol. Rather, we can say that this is a we can say a basic foundation. We can say which was meant for the communication of the data over the internet. So there was a need that some protocol, some rule, some policy should be there through which the we can say the data or the information can be we can say published or floated over the internet. So we can say that HTTP is a generic and stateless protocol which can be used for other purposes, as well as extensions of its request methods, error codes and headers. So we can say it's a simple definition for HTTP. We can call it as it's a generic and stateless protocol. And what is stateless protocol, that we will see in our forthcoming slide. And yeah, of course, HTTP is a request response protocol which works on a client server architecture. That will also we will see in our forthcoming slide. So meanwhile, in this particular introduction part, we can derive or we can infer basic information about HTTP, that it's an application level protocol. It was a foundation for the data communication for World Wide Web, and it's a generic and stateless protocol. Basically, HTTP is a TCP/IP based communication protocol that is used to deliver the data. Actually, there is a protocol standard, protocol suite we can say. It's called as Transmission Control Protocol, Internet Protocol. So HTTP is that TCP/IP based communication protocol which is used to deliver the data. And data can be like HTML files can be there, image files can be there, query results can be there, etc. on the www. So it's one of a kind of, we can say, the transmission control protocol, internet protocol based communication protocol. So HTTP is one of a kind of communication protocol, and it's we can say the basic protocol suite from which it comes is TCP/IP. And the kind of information which can be floated with the help of this HTTP protocol is HTML files, image files, query results, etc. on the www. Now there are different ports for this HTTP protocol, and the default port for this HTTP protocol is TCP/80. But other ports can be used as well. The standard port for the communication in HTTP is generally TCP/80. It provides a standardized way for the computers to communicate with each other. So generally, there must be some standardization for the computers to communicate with each other. So there must be some ports, port identification number, so that the computers may communicate with one another over the World Wide Web. So generally the standard, or we can say the default port for the HTTP is TCP/80. HTTP specification basically gives the details of how the client's request data will be constructed and sent to the server, and how the servers respond to these requests. So basically it's all about we can say that the specification given by HTTP is basically about the how the client requested data will be constructed and sent to the server, and how the servers will respond to those client requests. So that client server architecture is the, we can say, the can be means an identity for the HTTP protocol. Now this is the as we are talking about that it's a client server architecture which over which this HTTP protocol works. This is a web browser which can be called as a client, and this is the internet, network of networks, and this is the web server. This particular computer, suppose this is a client or a host computer, it is requesting for a web page over the internet. This particular request via the internet goes to the web server, means the URL whatever this web browser, means the user types through the web browser, that URL is basically requested via the internet to that particular URL's web server, and then the returned web page HTML file is floated over the internet, and finally or eventually it reaches to the web browser or the client. So whatever may be the file which we want to access, that we simply do through our browser a request for the web page. That request goes to that particular website's web server, and that site basically returns a web page or an HTML file, and that file is finally obtained by the browser side or the client side. So this is how this we can say request response protocol works, or we can say it's a client server architecture. So this is just a general we can say generic operation related to the HTTP protocol. Now we'll discuss about the three basic features that make HTTP a simple but powerful protocol. It's the next three features which we are going to discuss, the three basic features of the HTTP actually make it a quite powerful protocol. So first basic feature of the HTTP is that is it is connectionless protocol, and we can say that the HTTP client, that is a browser, initiates an HTTP request, and after a request is made, the client waits for the response. So this means that actually there is no pre-established connection between the client and the server. So it's a connectionless protocol, we can say. There is no prior establishment of any particular wiring or pathway between the client and the server. Rather, it's a connectionless protocol where actually the browser initiates an HTTP request, and after a request is made, the client waits for the response. Means the whatever may be the client has made the request, the response will be returned to it. Till then, it waits for the server to respond. The server actually processes the request. Whatever may be the request which is obtained from the client side, that is obtained by the server side. So server side processes the request, and it simply sends a response back after which the client disconnects the connection. So client and server knows about each other during the current request and response only. Further requests are made on new connection, like client and server are new to each other. So we can say that here every request is a new request made by the client to the server. After that, basically we can say that new requests can be made by the client. Means it's not that once the client has made a request for the server side, then it's not that it will not it may not be able to get it may not be able to make another server request. So it's not that, rather server simply processes the request, sends the response back, after which the client disconnects the connection. Means the connection which was connectionless, actually it's a logical connection, is basically disconnected by the client once it receives the response. So we can say that HTTP is connectionless, and we can say that whatever may be the further requests which are made, that will be made on a new connection between the client and the server. Now second time when the client approaches for new particular web page on the web server, then this will be considered to be a new request on a new connection. So it's not that previously whatever the web page it was requested, it will not get confused with that particular web page, neither the client nor the server. Every time new request is made by the client, server will basically respond to it, and that too it will respond on a new connection. So the request will also be new and connection will also be new. So basically this is how the responses and requests are we can say floated back and forth between the client and the server. Second basic feature is HTTP is media independent. Basically it means any type of the data can be sent by the HTTP as long as both the client and the server know how to handle the data content. It is required for the client as well as the server to specify the content type using appropriate MIME type. So generally there is a standard called as MIME type, agreeing to which the client and the server basically may communicate with one another for a particular content or the data content. So we can say that whatever may be the data which is sent by the HTTP, that is sent by the HTTP only when the client and the server know how to handle the data content, and this we can say it is required for the client as well as the server. There is a mandatory requirement for the client as well as the server that they have to specify the content type. They have to specify the content type using the appropriate appropriate we can say the MIME type. So we can say that HTTP, there are several versions we can say that for HTTP request response, out of which one of it is basically HTTP 1.0, and HTTP 1.0 uses we can say a new connection for each request response exchange, and basically whereas there is one more HTTP connection that is called as the HTTP 1.1, and basically it is used for one or more request response exchanges. So generally MIME there is, we can say that there are certain, we can say, standards or restrictions which are defined by the MIME type. So generally we can say that whatever may be the data which is exchanged between the client and the server, it is done with the help of, we can say, means they have to specify the content type using the appropriate MIME type. What is an MIME type? It's we can say a label used to identify the type of data, and basically MIME type helps a software or a browser to know that how to handle the data, and it simply does the same purpose which the on the internet which the file extensions do on the Microsoft Windows. So you must have got the understanding that what is actually the MIME type is. So like we know now that .doc file, .ppt file, .pdf file, we know these kinds of extensions in our Microsoft Windows desktops. So on internet, how the client and server will identify that which kind of data it is, whether it is an organizational website or it's a educational website, or it is a we can say that means .edu, .org, or a government official website. So there must be some extension, there must be some label. So this label is defined by this MIME type. So this MIME type is one of a kind of label which acts similarly as the extensions of the files demonstrate to us in Microsoft Windows. So the similar role is played by the MIME type, like the file types are there, file extensions are there on our desktops and laptops. So simply MIME type is responsible for basically identifying the data content type, right? Next basic feature of the HTTP, it's stateless. HTTP is stateless. So as mentioned above, HTTP is connectionless. We know that there is no prior establishment of the connection done between client and server, and it is a direct result of HTTP being a stateless protocol. So this server and the client are aware of each other only during a current request. Afterwards both of them forget about each other. That means client and server actually they do not have any prior we can say introduction of one another. That is, every time client request is made for server, that client request is new every time. So we can say that there is no particular state saved. Earlier when client request made certain particular request for web page, then that request was an older one for the server, means it has not saved that particular state in its memory. Rather every time client makes a new request, it will be a newer request for always for the server. So we can say that it is stateless. HTTP protocol doesn't save any state, neither on the client nor on the server. Due to this nature of the protocol, neither the client nor the browser can retain information between the different requests across the web pages. So here we can conclude that actually HTTP is a stateless protocol. Earlier we saw that two properties, features of HTTP. First was it was connectionless, second it was media independent. That means basically here we saw that the data content has to be verified using this MIME type or the label, and this is done by the client and the server using this particular format, MIME type. And also there are some versions which we discussed, like HTTP 1.0, HTTP 1.1. So generally we can say that it's not media it's not media dependent, rather it is media independent. So we can say that any like science, technology related information, space research related information, any type of data can be sent by the HTTP. Also we saw that it is a stateless protocol. Rather we can say that it is since it is connectionless, So it's a direct result or an obvious result of HTTP being a stateless protocol. So it does not save any particular state neither on the client nor on the server. Every time new request is made by the client, it will be considered as a newer request on a newer connection for the server. Now this is the basic architecture of the HTTP protocol. This is the web client, this is the web server, server side script, and this is the database. So web server is basically connected to two components, we can say. Web server actually is connected to two components, server side script and database. And actually the web server communicates to the web client through this HTTP protocol. So this is the general, we can say, basic architecture of the HTTP protocol. We can simply say by seeing this diagram that HTTP protocol is a request response protocol based on the client server based architecture, where we can say that web browsers, robots and search engines, etc. act like HTTP clients and web server acts as servers. So generally we can say that HTTP protocol is what? It's a request response protocol where actually the we can say the web browsers or the robots and the search engines, etc. are what? Means Google search engines, any particular robotic, we can say if we talk about machine learning robotic algorithm, then it will be called as a simply an HTTP client, or the web browser or the search engine, it will be called as HTTP client. And the web server for which the particular client request is made, that will be considered as a server, which will finally return it back with that particular web page. Client, the HTTP client sends a request to the server in the form of a request method, URL and protocol version, that is uniform resource locator and protocol version. On the basis of this request method is made, means whatever may be the protocol version is HTTP 1.1, HTTP 1.0 and the URL basically, or we can say uniform resource identifier, also we can say URI, and it will be followed by MIME like message containing the request modifiers, client information, and we can say whatever may be the HTML based, means possible body content over a TCP IP connection. So we can say that all this information is carried by the HTTP client, that is request method, URI, protocol version, MIME like message containing request modifiers, etc. So all this is contained in the client request. Next is the server. The HTTP server responds with a status line. There always the response is given by the HTTP server in a form of a status line, including the messages, protocol version and success or error code, whatever it may be, followed by a MIME like message containing server information, entity meta information, and possibly the whatever be the HTML entity body content. So we can say that client and server actually carry several information with them, so that whatever may be the web pages basically requested, that is returned back by the HTTP server. So generally the content which is actually included in the web pages is generally made from its server side scripting languages written in it, like PHP, HTML, etc. So whatever may be the we can say hypertext is included in it, that is included. Beyond that, also some error code, success codes are there in the server, also status lines are there in the server request, server response, and several we can say HTTP protocol versions will be there. So all these information, like we cannot say that only the client is simply making the request or server is simply making the response. In it several information is already embedded, and this particular information is moved between the client and the server. This is we can say that it's a client server architecture. We can simply understand this that it's a HTTP request made and HTTP response made to this client, and it's not a simply request response, rather all this information which we discussed over here, that is in the client and the server, all this information is included in this request and this response protocols. And this is the client or the web application, this is the application web server, this is the HTTP client, this is the HTTP server. Now we will discuss about the student effective learning outcomes. Basically reading after the above slides, or we can say the lecture, I hope students must have got the ability to observe and develop sense making. Logical skills would have been means we can say you must have developed for abstract concepts. Also I hope that some critical and innovative thinking skills must have been improved. also some adaptive thinking skills, means for newer technology you must have adapted some thinking skills like how the HTTP request response protocol works, etc. Obviously research scope is there for this HTTP protocol. Actually it comes under the web services and internet related we can say topic it is. So we can say that the web services interoperability means there must be some interoperable or compatible format so that the information can be read on the internet just like we read it on the desktop computer. So the web services interoperability presents what? It presents a effective means whereby existing system functionality can be adapted to operate in web services paradigm. Actually request response protocol may work between either we can say phone and desktop, or request response protocol can be made between either desktop and laptop. So we can say that these web services should be interoperable. They must be capable of being operated on any particular platform and it should be obviously interoperable. So this whole network of networks, or the semantic web we talk about, actually nowadays they are incorporating various technologies. In today's age we know that inference engines and rule based AI systems, web services and service oriented architectures are actually being incorporated nowadays. These technologies are most prevalent nowadays. So we can say that to provide the needed infrastructure for all these technologies, obviously to support meaningful interoperability is must among the context based systems. So there are several contexts related with every new technology. So this interoperability is must for switching from one we can say context based system to another context based system. So the research scope is that in order to fully evaluate the expected benefits of the web services interoperability, we can say that obviously there is a need to implement the architecture, this particular client server architecture, in a real grid environment where actually it can be tested for evaluation for the scalability, means more systems if of the networks grow, then how it will behave. So this kind of evaluation needs to be done in the research area for this client server architecture or the HTTP protocol. And obviously the reliability or the security measures, proper security measures should also be provided over this we can say client server architecture based HTTP protocol. So these are the references which I have taken for preparing this presentation, and this article actually incorporates some texts and diagrams which I have included from the references given below. Thank you.